Requirements lifecycle management. What does it mean? It means when you created project requirements, it could be business or functional requirements, document, depends on your organization. You need to manage these requirements throughout your project, and all this called requirements lifecycle. Determine traceability and monitor approach. Establish relationships and dependencies. Select and approve requirements. Manage changes to requirements and product information, which happens throughout the project execution. Determine traceability and monitor approach. Consider how traceability to be performed on the portfolio, program, project, product, and define how requirements changes to be managed. Establish relationships and dependencies. Trace links between and requirements and the product information, between the requirements and product information. Select and approve requirements. Discuss with stakeholders to negotiate and confirm which requirements should be incorporated within release or project. It could be or release through the project, some kind of phase, or the whole project. Manage changes to requirements and product information. Examine changes, propose changes, and defects during a project by understanding the value and impact of the changes. Let's go through same in detail. You see, here I write business requirements lifecycle management. Determine traceability and monitoring approach. What you might bring as input, what you might use as input. Compliance or regulatory standards, configuration management standards, and the product scope. Instruments, retrospectives and lessons learned. Output results, traceability and monitoring approach. Establish relationships and dependencies. What might be potential inputs? Product scope, requirements and other product information, traceability with monitoring from previous process. Instruments, feature model, requirements tool, story mapping, story slicing, traceability metrics. Please do not forget that you need to create as business analysis. In some cases, you have to create traceability metrics and later quality assurance management with testers will create a test cases and test suites based on your traceability metrics, and they will create their own traceability called TCM, test metrics, test cases metrics. Output results, relationships and dependencies. And please, sorry, once again, I'll stop. Story mapping with story slicing. Those two important. You need, if you have user stories, you need to map them to requirements. Select and approve requirements. Required inputs, product scope, relationship and dependencies between requirements, obviously stakeholder engagement, validated requirements, verified requirements, and product information. Instruments a lot. Backlog management if you are working with agile sprints. Scrum if you are working as a Scrum. Collaborative games, definition of ready, Delphi technique, facilitated workshops, force field analysis, group decision making, always apply group decision making, iteration planning, if you are working once again agile, Scrum, sprints, a prioritization scheme, if you are working with backlog or even in a waterfall model, you still need to prioritize and re-prioritize constant requirements. Requirements tool and story mapping. Output results, approved requirements. And finally, like I told you, it is absolutely normal and pretty often when during project execution, constant change requests are coming. However, as business analyst, it's your job to communicate these change requests, get them verified and approved before going into action. Manage changes to requirements and product information. Inputs, backlog management, change control tools, group decision-making techniques, impact analysis, requirements tool, and traceability metrics instruments. Issues tracking, workshops, mind mapping, lessons learned, process modeling. And output results, recommend the changes to requirements and other product information.